Hello, I'm Anthony and this is Still Earth. Nice to have your company. Last time we were talking, I talked about self-love. As weird as the subject is, self-love is possibly the one thing that seems to pervade our lives. Especially these days, our lack of self-worth seems to pervade every part of our lives. And it's easy to see how it happens. In many ways, looking in the mirror and saying I love you to yourself is quite confronting and quite difficult the first time you do it. It is a necessary exercise and I hope you had a crack at it. And if you didn't last week, maybe this week, go into the mirror, look yourself into the eyes with a little smile and say I love you, I love who you are. I truly love you. It'll be interesting to see what your reaction is to that. I know many of my clients and my wife's clients have quite a bit of difficulty with that the first time around. It's quite sad, and this thing of not being enough is quite insidious. It starts when we were very young and it can go on, and then we can carry it through our entire adult lives. Even though we're now adults and our childhood, what it was, doesn't really exist anymore, and we're the grown-ups, we should know better, we still manage to carry this on. And in our lives, it's funny how simple things matter. Simple actions matter. And let me give you an example of, say, a family of four. And they're heading out for a day of fun, and the parents have said to the kids, or said to everyone in the car, look, we're all going to pick one of our favourite things to do today, and we'll just get that done. And we'll smash it out through the afternoon, and everyone should get a good crack at something that they want to do. Now you've gone through most of the day is starting to fade away, and there is still one person that their favourite thing hasn't been done. And I don't mean any disrespect to mums, but more often than not, it's our God-given angels from heaven, our mums, that actually put their hand up and say, you know what, I'll just go without, and you guys just get all your stuff done. That'll be just fine. But when you say that, everyone in that car just learnt a little lesson. And let's say next week we're going to have a takeaway night, and, mum, dad, whoever, say, look, we've got to pick out one favourite thing. And there's a general consensus, but one in the family, and perhaps mum doesn't really like KFC. But she might just say, you know what, you guys have your favourite thing and I'll just be okay. I'll eat a little bit of it, but then I'll look after myself. And when that happens, another little lesson is learnt. And that might be okay. As a loving parent, that you allow that sort of thing to go on. But the message is very clear. If you continue to do it, and you will, because this sort of behaviour is habitual, it's habit forming, then sooner or later people are going to forget to think about you at all whilst they're making decisions. And if you're doing it for your family, let me tell you, as a habit, you will do it to everyone and everything that you ever do. It's a bad habit. And mums, may I say, with no disrespect, and it could be dads that do this as well, but even if it's just a person, or you are just that kind of person who gives and gives and gives and gives and gives, servitude does not equal love. Love is not sourced from servitude. But if we continue to do these things, put ourselves last on the list, then people will start to treat us as a byproduct of this life. They won't consider us in any decision they make. In the end, they'll just make the decision and know full well you'll go along with it. Now, you might be okay with that for quite some time, but sooner or later you are going to get resentful. Sooner or later that won't be good enough for you, and you'll wonder how they can be so ignorant of your feelings. But let me be honest for a second. You taught them how to treat you. You taught them that. If you love yourself enough, you will put yourself first. If you love yourself, it means waking up in the morning and going, I love who I am. I am good enough. If you love yourself enough, it means setting healthy standards and boundaries and expectations. so that your people know how to treat you. If, in the example of the takeaway, and you couldn't get your way this week, you would make that comment and go, okay, we'll have KFC this week, but I really want whatever I want next week. Okay? So no, next week there'll be no discussion, we'll be having what I want. There's no harm in that. And it's not as if it's a terrible thing to say. But what it does do is keep you in the picture. You must believe that you are worth it and worthy. Loving yourself enough means that if you're in a relationship and it's not serving you, you may not leave the relationship, but you will certainly have the courage to actually work out what it is that you want from the relationship, and you will have that discussion. If you love yourself enough, it means that you will look at all of your relationships, and if some are not serving you, if some of these relationships are quite antagonistic or negative or just hard to deal with, that you may still love them, but you will learn to love them from a distance. That relationship does not need to be in your heart and in your face on a daily, monthly, even yearly basis. If you love yourself enough, you will learn to love from a distance. I had a client a couple of weeks ago, and we were talking about something very similar. It's a problem that many of us have. And at Christmas time, this particular group of family had quite a big blow up. There was the older brother, she was the oldest sister, and there were two younger sisters underneath. And she'd had a real barney with her older sibling. The argument wasn't really the problem. The problem was that she was hurt that her sisters hadn't stepped in and stuck up for her. So we decided to chat about her relationship with her sisters. And I said, you know, have you ever showed in the past your sisters, or to your sisters, that you needed their help? Have you ever showed that part of you, that side of you, where they thought that you were vulnerable and that they would step in? Because I think if you had showed that, they might have done that. Have you ever done it? She said, no, of course not. I'm strong. I always do the good stuff, the hard stuff. I just get it done. That's how it is. And I said, had you ever asked for help from your sisters? Ever before? She said, of course not. And I just deal with stuff. And so she did. She was a magnificent girl, is a magnificent girl. So we sat and thought about that for a minute, and then she came to her own realization that if she hadn't ever asked for help in the past, or she hadn't ever appeared that she needed help ever, why would her sisters choose that moment? In that emotion, why would they choose to step in and help? We teach people how to treat us. We teach everyone how to treat us. Loving yourself enough means that you put yourself in the front of the bus, even if that means sometimes you appear a little selfish. Loving yourself enough means that you get to say no. No, thank you. I can't help you this time around. And loving yourself enough means that you understand that no isn't a sentence. It's one word. It requires no excuse from you. Loving yourself enough means that you get to understand your own worth, set the standards, and earn the respect that you require. Loving yourself enough should be the first thing on your list. Until we meet again, have a good one. Take it easy on the turns.